Welcome to my governor analysis video, so let's start. And there we go, so let's begin. For Florida, Florida was a huge landslide win for Ron DeSantis. And as you can see here, he almost won by 20%. He even won Miami-Dade and was a huge landslide win for him, and shows that he really did well with Latino voters and that he has potential in 2024 to win, of course. He even did so well that Gavin Newsom actually won by less percentage than Ron DeSantis, which I find quite interesting for Ohio, just because why not? Mike DeWine was able to win in a huge landslide victory by 25%, which is huge. I almost forgot about that. And for Rhode Island and Colorado, so Rhode Island was really a polling miss, but for the Democrats, as Dan McKee almost won here by 20% as well. And just shows that Kayla's really didn't have the momentum that many people thought. While Jared Polis, it was a huge loss for the Republicans in Colorado, and shows that Colorado is gone for good for the GOP, as Polis and Bennett both won here by a safe margin. Furthermore, in Iowa, Kim Reynolds was actually able to do better than Chuck Grassley, fun fact. I think here's New Hampshire, by the way. Sununu win by around 15.5%. And I almost forgot, for McMaster and South Carolina, it was even a huge landslide. For McMaster, I thought, Joe Cunningham wasn't going to make it closer, but no. Well, for Oklahoma and Kevin Stitt was only able to win in Oklahoma by 13.7%, which was in my margins. I did have him winning here by 12% to 14%, and this just goes to show you how unpopular of a governor he is to barely be winning by a safe margin in Oklahoma. There are two states that are sticking out like a sore thumb right now, and those are Maine and Pennsylvania. So in Maine, Janet Mills was able to win here by almost 13%, but in Pennsylvania, it was a huge landslide victory for Josh Shapiro. As seen right here, he did better in some areas that had not gone for the Democrats to that extent since Obama 2008, and shows you what happens when a really good tier candidate by a party goes against a more niche candidate that also lacks money. So this is really the worst case scenario for the GOP in this state, and shows you that the Obama-Trump voters, a lot of them did go, not a lot of them, but a decent minority of them did go for Josh Shapiro, just like they went for John Fetterman. And Josh Shapiro could actually run in the future, since he is the governor of Pennsylvania, and he may run for president. And I do think he may, and you should expect that to happen either in 2024, which I doubt, or 2028. Oh wait, before I forget, Ned Lamont won in Connecticut by a huge win, 14%. And now for the likely states. So for the Republicans, there are two likely states, and those are Texas and Georgia. So which were kind of expected. I do think I was expecting Texas to be a bit higher, around I think I said 13% or something like that. So yeah, for Texas, Greg Abbott was able to win re-election for a third term, and he is on track to win by around 11%. You know what? Yeah, why not? I should probably do that. And you can see right here, Beto was able to do okay in the South, but it just wasn't enough, as you can see. And just let me check for a second. Oh yeah, wow, Jesus. And while for Georgia, Georgia with Brian Kemp, he was able to do well, but still, I think he was expecting to win here by more than what I think was 8%, right? I think a lot of people thought he was maybe gonna win here by so he won here by 7.5%, and that is still a decent win for him. But you can already see that some of the suburbs are really even going more to the left than 2020. And now for the Democrats, they did extremely well in the Rust Belt. I think the abortion rhetoric worked extremely well, and not only were they able to win Illinois by a likely margin, which was a bit underwhelming for Illinois Democrats, but whatever. Michigan won by a likely margin. Minnesota won by a likely margin. So in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker was able to win there by, I think it was around exactly like 10% or so. Oh wait, they changed the margin to almost 12%, which was around my area of 10% to 12%. While in Minnesota, Tim Walz, the incumbent Democrat, was able to win there by 8%, which was kind of expected, and here's the map for you to see. And now, for Michigan, which was by far the worst, well, not the worst night for the GOP, but it was one of the worst case scenarios for them. They did horribly, and let's go to Google, where I think they have the more updated version. And they almost won here by 11%. They won there by 10.6. And Gretchen Whitmer she just did amazing. And the GOP almost, I think they lost the trifecta, or I should say some of the state legislature as well. So the Democrats are going to thrive in this upcoming years and maybe in this decade. And Gretchen Whitmer, also just like Josh Shapiro, may actually run for president someday or be a vice presidential pick. For the remaining ones, those are in New Mexico. Not a surprise that Grisham was able to win there. A lot of polling misses, but to the left, which was kind of interesting. But still, I tried my best, man. For New York, this is almost a lean state, fun fact. And in New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham. I wish it had this on the left, the results. Oh, that sucks. Oh, whatever. So Grisham was able to win in New Mexico by a likely margin of almost 7%. It's technically almost 6.5%, I think. And while and New York, so this is where Democrats dropped the ball, and this also cost them the House majority because of how well Zeldin did it down the ballot. And Hochul is only gonna win there by around 5.8% at the moment, which is still counting, but as you can see, really a great performance by Lee Zeldin. I think if the red wave, or I should say the national environment, had been more Republican, he could have genuinely actually won in New York. He did amazing overall, so he might get the position in the GOP. Who knows, but yeah, you can see right here, absolute, wow. I didn't expect that. And I think that's it for the likely states. But yeah, this shows how effective a law and order campaign truly is for the GOP still. Really the good old reliable for them. And for the lean states, so for Oregon, it's basically Drazen was not able to win. I am thankful I didn't put Red Oregon at the end. Oh my god. It's also oh wait, let me put this as lean. It's also due to the fact that Oregon is a big state for the Democrats. I mean, Tina Kotek is probably gonna win here by 3.5% against Drazen. And Betsy Johnson just dropped the ball at the last second, so really tells you how, I think it's just the story of most third-party candidates, that their support at the end does in fact go to the two major parties, and I can't wait for the map. And yeah, she only is getting 8%, and for Drazen to have won, she needed Betsy Johnson to get at least 10%. And now let's go to the other state, to one of the biggest surprises of this cycle for Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, Tony Evers was almost able to win there by 4%. I think it's 3.4 if I'm not mistaken, a 3.4% win for him. And this also goes to show how important youth turnout was. So this is also one of the big reasons why the Democrats were able to sweep in the Rust Belt and throughout the country, because of how high turnout youth voters had. And if it wasn't for how big of a turnout Gen Z had, I do think the red wave would have been a red puddle as I had thought it would be. And here's the map. I mean, no one had Tony Evers winning. Most people thought he was gonna be DOA. But yeah, that's how politics works, and he almost won here by a likely margin, which is insane. But yeah, for Kansas, so Kansas is another one that I was really undecided about. I should have followed my gut feeling and not the national environment, as I thought I was doing. And Laura Kelly was able to win here and win re-election as a Democrat in Kansas, which is insane. And she's likely gonna win there by 2.1%. And I know some of you are thinking, how much did Dennis Pilo get? And it's basically almost 2.1%, which is insane. Yeah, it's exactly what Derek Schmidt needed to win. So he would have gotten 49.45%. So this would have literally maybe even been a Florida 2000 level race. So yeah, Dennis Powell might have just costed the GOP the race in Kansas, which is it is kind of a iffy tactic to do by the Democrats, but hey, it worked, so whatever. It's fair game still. And I think that's it for the lean states, yeah. So already you can see that this year was, you could even argue, was a blue puddle. The GOP really messed up big in many areas, and for the lean states for the GOP, they only had one bright spot in the governorships, and that is Joe Lombardo, who, by the way, Trump almost unendorsed him, by the way, which is still so funny to think about. Joe Lombardo is literally the only one in the governorship that was able to flip a state for the GOP, and he's on track to win here by 1.4%. And Joe Lombardo just got the right endorsements and was able to distance himself from Trump, who is lacking independent candidates, independent appeal to people, and Donald Trump, he ain't looking too good at the moment. He's not getting that appeal towards other people, and he is at his lowest point. But yeah, Joe Lombardo win in Nevada. And now for really the most groundbreaking result of this cycle, in my opinion, that is Arizona. So in Arizona, almost every single pollster, again, I think the only one that didn't have Katie Hobbs winning, because, I mean, let's be honest, Katie Hobbs ran one of the most lackluster campaigns, and Kari Lake still lost. That tells you enough how bad her appeal was. I want to see, there was literally only one pollster that had Katie Hobbs winning, and that is Marist. Everyone, every single one, even some Democrat-leaning ones, had Kari Lake winning. So I'm gonna look more into using maybe Marist in the future, but the fact that Katie Hobbs was still able to defeat Kari Lake is still insane, and tells you how bad of an appeal Kari Lake had to independent voters, and because of Trump as well. You can run on what Trump said about 2020 and still win. And at the moment, Katie Hobbs is on track to win by 0.5%. And this was truly an insane cycle. Almost no one had this being a blue puddle year, or you could say a blue wave year. And yeah, I think Katie Hobbs won, and this is really looking good for the Democrats in 2024. So yeah, this cycle really shows you that Trump lacks a lot with independent voters, and he is at a rough point, probably the lowest point in his political career. And for Arizona, this just goes to show that the state is really more of an establishment state and more moderate. But before you go, don't forget to check out the Senate video that I'm going to upload right after this. So yeah, go check that out. So the Republicans only win with 26 seats against the Democrats' 24 seats. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.